They did ask him about the upcoming slate of Disney movies that are coming up in 2025. Snow White, the live action remake of Snow White, is obviously one of their biggest ones, with some of the most financial investment, hundreds of millions of dollars, I'm sure, especially after the delays. And it's coming out a whole year after they initially planned. But here it says that Bob Iger, during the hype for the 2025 movie slate, he neglected to mention Rachel Zegler's Snow White remake. It was just completely left out of the conversation, and they snubbed it because I think they regret making this movie, and they regret every way that they marketed it so far.
And not just that, she's also been very vocal once again on Twitter, being very, or I'm sorry, it was on Instagram, on her Instagram story, getting very, very political. And when you're getting this close, I mean, Snow White comes out in March. That's not really that far away.
Right. Well, I mean, we thought it was going to come out in March this year, but then it was because of the strikes, right, that it got delayed once again. And
I mean, I think they just used that as cover to be able to reshoot and make changes if they wanted.
They needed to make reshoots, and people were not happy with the dwarves not being dwarves, so they had to just make CGI dwarves, and it was a whole crapshoot. And I think they also needed time to put Rachel Zegler through a damn clinic.
So you said that you were looking at an interview, and it sounded like she's finally gotten her media training.
Yeah, obviously the most infamous clips of Rachel Zegler talking about Snow White came from D23 in 2022. And then just recently they showed the first teaser trailer for Snow White at the recent D23 in August this year. And I finally watched those interviews, and she was behaving herself, being very demure, very mindful with Gal Gadot on the red carpet.
Gal Gadot's very good at that to begin with. It's really funny. They should have just had Gal Gadot mentor her and teach her how to do this. I feel like they could have saved some money. They don't need to hire some firm with like a 9-part name.
It's with someone like Rachel Zegler, you can only accomplish so much.
Yeah.
Like, she's very set in her ways, and she's actually... I can tell she's putting in an immense amount of effort. I think they both are. They were both trained and coached for this exact moment. They were both trained to be extremely effusive and gracious. And
I'm so lucky to be
they were really laying it on thick. Like, we're so lucky to be here. We love the audience. We're so thankful. We're so grateful for them.
I actually take a different perspective on that. I believe that Gal Gadot actually believes that. I think that Rachel Zegler only believes that because of it's this audience of Disney sycophants.
Well, it didn't come off as super authentic. I'm looking at some of the comments, and they said, Rachel seems like she just went through PR training and is trying so hard to be humble now. It looks so inauthentic. But for Gal, it just comes naturally.
It comes so naturally for
Another
her.
one said, Gal seems very classy. She looks at Rachel Zegler, smiles at her, says her name. Meanwhile, Rachel acts like she is trying to pretend that Gal isn't there. So maybe they have some kind of hidden beef behind the scenes.
Gal Gadot is, very pro-Israel, given that she's Israeli. Yeah. And Rachel Zegler
has been very vocal in the opposite.
Palestine. So they probably did have to go through some type of mediation, especially if they take their views seriously and it's not just something that they're putting up as an affront. And this is true of Gal Gadot. You look at any interview of her and you understand why people fall in love with her as an actress and as a person, is that she does give that gracious tone that most people in our position, and I think most normal people would say, is what a Hollywood actor should have. There should be a sense of graciousness, a sense of decorum about them, because if they were smart and they understood how lucky they were to have made it as far as they did in that industry, they wouldn't have it wouldn't just be about the ego. They wouldn't have the lack of couth that Zegler has.
Well, she has a great voice. She is a great singer. And I honestly I don't even think she's a bad actress.
No, we sing her praises in the Hunger Games prequel.
I think even though this teaser trailer is like 2 minutes long, you can tell from that alone that they let too much of Rachel's personality shine through in Snow White instead of just making her into the character.
Yeah.
Like, she was, raising an eyebrow, looking smug here and there, and that's just the opposite of Snow White.
That's not even her fault. That's the director's fault.
I mean, it's sort of because she just wanted this to be reflecting her and not the character, and she never was a fan of the movie in the first place. And she's also, I should mention, in this interview at D23 this year, she's like, I've been a lifelong die-hard Disney fan. I watch everything Disney on opening week and I'm obsessed. And it just completely contradicts what she said 2 years prior, which is that she was never even into Snow White. She was scared of Snow White, so she never watched it as a kid, which is fine, but you just be honest about that and say that you have an appreciation for it now.
Here's the thing. They've got a lot of stuff. Bob Iger talked about like rolling back the content and focusing on quality rather than quantity. The amount of stuff they have coming out next year is crazy. So we have Snow White on March 21st. Yeah. We have Lilo and Stitch live action on May 23rd. Elio comes out on June 13th. That's an animated movie from Pixar. Tron Ares comes out on October 10th. Zootopia 2 comes out on November 26th. Avatar Fire and Ash comes out December 19th. I haven't even gotten to the Marvel movies yet, which Thunderbolts comes out on May 2nd. Fantastic Four comes out, Fantastic Four First Steps comes out July 25th. And Brave New World comes out February 14th. Why they're releasing it on Valentine's Day, I have no idea.
It's not really a Valentine's Day movie.
And not just that. Weird. Like they have television stuff. Hulu is releasing Predator Badlands and a Predator animated series. They've got Daredevil Born Again coming out. It's just endless content. They probably have to pay somebody a hefty fortune just to do all their scheduling to find them the best positions, because a lot of these movies they have to figure out where ones overlap so that you're not putting out two of the same genre too close to the same time.
There are also 3 confirmed untitled Disney movies also on the schedule for 2025, and we have no idea what they are yet.
Yeah. So they've got a lot of stuff coming out. They're not focusing necessarily on quantity or on quality rather than quantity. But here's the thing. If 3 to 4 of these are a success, that's a good sign for them. So I don't know how popular Zootopia 2 is going to be.
And people loved Zootopia. I bet it's going to do well. And then Avatar 3, guaranteed, it's probably going to do well.
Elio will be a very interesting test because going back to new animated movies, new properties, that's the rest of these, as we can see, are reboots, remakes, or continuations of prior IP. I don't know if Elio is prior IP. I believe it's a brand new film.
And then Blade is just in the corner.
Yeah, that was like on the list, and everyone knows that that's not actually going to come out next year. Nobody actually believes that that's going to be done by the end of the year next year. I think that if Disney wants to regain trust in the public, they need not just 2024, they need 2025, 2026, and 2027 to look a hell of a lot like 2024 looked for them if you're going to win back the sentiment of the general public, because not everybody is in the position that you and I are, where we read about this stuff every day, so you're paying closer attention. It's one of the things we talked about was people were like, oh, they're still making Marvel movies after Phase 3 ended? They made movies after Endgame?
Some girls at the hair salon talking about Marvel movies, and they were like, oh yeah, I watched the Spider-Verse one. Did they make any after Endgame?
And they don't even own that one because that's a Sony one. So that's not even them.
I didn't know they were still going after Endgame, but I watched the Spider-Verse one.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.